Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for tuning in, and we're out of the block, start of a new week. Glad you could stop by, tune in, dial in. What did Timothy Leary used to say? Tune in, whatever it was. Yeah, we're glad you're there, and hope you had a wonderful weekend and didn't commit too much nutritional violations, I hope. Well, so I'm going to make a comment about Italian restaurants and this, what some of them do that really drives me crazy. I'll explain in a minute. Some of them, and boy, they violated this particular nutritional tendency that they have. And my question really is, are you eating a disease and early death-inducing diet? Are you? Do you even know if you are? Over the weekend, I spent quite a bit of time looking at a number of studies that reached the conclusion that diet was the leading factor or cause of early death. And I especially looked at the global burden of disease studies. And that project is an interesting project, and they typically publish the results in The Lancet. And it's just stunning. And I've been saying this for 12 years, that diet/nutrition is the first principle of health. And I said that from the very beginning. That has been the point of view of this show. And now we're collecting data that supports that principle robustly. Are you eating a disease-inducing, early death-inducing diet? And the odds are pretty good that a majority of the population in our country is in fact doing that. How do I know? Well, when I look at the obesity epidemic, when I look at the chronic disease list, when you look at the top 10 chronic diseases, many of them are diet and lifestyle related diseases. They are diseases of diet and lifestyle. I mean, if you told somebody that please don't take anything out of this bottle that you'll find in the medicine cabinet or in the house because it's poison and it can kill you, and you put a skull and crossbones on it, people would not go near it. Because they know that it's probably, in fact, would kill them. Why is it that we can't persuade people? I was discussing this with one of my therapist friends this morning, changing people's behavior and their attitudes in relationship with food. When you tell people that what you're eating is killing you, slowly but surely, it's diseasing your body. A disease-related diet. Are you eating a disease-related, early death-inducing diet? And the westernization of diet and nutrition has been an experiment. It makes Frankenstein look like a humanist. And we have food engineers, food scientists, deliberately, intentionally, consciously, a forethought, teaching food companies and showing them how to create these foods. These foods are poison. They don't taste like poison. They don't look like poison. There's no skull and crossbones on the package. But they're killing people. I'm not kidding. That's not hyperbolic. I will share with you today, if I have, and especially in the second hour, Dr. Ingram is to be my guest. See up. I guess we'll find out in a second. My computer, Stephen will tell me. I spent the whole weekend reading these studies. And when you take them together, you reach the conclusion that diet is one of the leading, if not the leading cause of chronic disease and death around the world. Diet. Food. Food. We're not talking about something in a bottle, a brown bottle with a black screw cap and a skull and crossbones on it. It says poison on it. We're talking about food that you buy in a grocery store. And wherever they import or otherwise westernize a country and its culture, and in particular its food culture, it goes berserk. It becomes disease-ridden. I'm not making this up. I don't have to be hyperbolic. I'm just reporting what the data are. And I'll give you the studies, chapter and verse. You can read them till they're coming out of your ears like I did. One after another. And some health, you would expect alarms to be louder and more pervasive. I don't hear those alarm bells. I hear it from the World Health Organization, American Cancer Society, all these different cancer-related health institutions, and so on. And whatever goes on and on. They're concerned, of course, but it's not being reported in the media. These don't make mainstream media. They end up. I'm holding in my hand. Right? They end up in a journal like The Lancet. How many people listen to this show read The Lancet? Please, come on now. I wouldn't expect people, the audience of this show, to be reading The Lancet. I read The Lancet, and I'm saving you the time and reporting to you what's in The Lancet and other prestigious journals. Where are the journalists? Why don't they stay on it? And we feed this diet to children, and that's their orientation to their relationship with food. Over the weekend I'll try to find some quotes. It's just stunning. Absolutely stunning. Did Cass call in yet? Yeah. Dr. Ingram's my guest. Bring him on. I'm going to get him to react to that, my comment. The global burden of disease. Type that in on your search engine, and you'll get to the project. Every year they assess the state of the world's health. Life expectancy has risen. However, people are living longer in states of disease. You can't make that up. Wait a minute. We're going to keep you alive longer, but you're going to have more. You're going to be comorbid. You're going to have even more than your comorbidities, even more than one disease. We were living longer in a disease state. My goodness.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day. giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
Diet-inducing, early death-inducing diet. Are you eating one? Do you know if you are? Stay tuned. My guest is Dr. Cass Ingram. Dr. Ingram is a regular guest on Let's Talk Nutrition. We always enjoy having him on. We'll start off the week with Dr. Ingram. And Dr. Ingram, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you on.
Yeah,
you have any,
long time no see. How's everything going along over there?
One day at a time.
Yeah.
You have any comment on my monologue?
I didn't hear what journals.
The Lancet. The Lancet is one of them. This is the global burden. I looked at the data from the Global Burden of Disease Project, which is an annual. And they do an assessment of the state of the world's health all the time. That's a great project. And then other studies, JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association, 7 in 10 deaths fueled by diet and lifestyle factor. This was a study done by in that Global Burden of Disease Project in 2015. 70% of deaths globally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's true. One does not have to spend bazillions on triple-blind studies to configure it. I'm glad they're doing the work, but one has to use a common sense to realize that the highly refined foods are very destructive to the human organism and to animals, and so, and then of course we didn't even get into GMOs, but starting with refined sugar, white flour, white rice, ultra-refined milk products, and then of course people do develop intolerances, allergies, so you can have anaphylactic shock, which can lead to fatality. That's going to curb lifespan figures, but it's the refined foods which are directly connected to degenerative disease. So we know it used to be called sugar diabetes, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So you have an entire category of hypoglycemia, prediabetes, syndrome X, which can cause cardiovascular issues, hypertension, and diabetes, which causes a lot of ill health and disability and loss of limb and loss of life potential and early premature death and stroke. That's just diabetes and syndrome X, and it's exclusively diet-induced. It has nothing to do with anything but diet and lifestyle.
What's interesting is in this 2015 project, Global Burden of Disease, they report that 71% of deaths were caused by non-infectious diseases. Which is interesting.
Well, diabetes, heart disease, carcinoma.
Cancer, you hit a heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, all of which are affected by what? Diet and lifestyle, with diet accounting for a significant portion of the
diet is a big one, and like you say, lifestyle is important because of lack of movement and exercise.
Smoking and whatnot.
Yeah, but diet is huge because just look down McDonald's lane or fast food lane, and look at the skin, the pasty coloration, the obesity, the deformation of people's physique, the saggy nature of their tissues. I'm surprised they're alive even until they are now.
Here's the point though. If in the house, in the medicine cabinet, was a bottle that said danger, poison, skull and crossbones on it, do not touch, do not consume, people would stay away from it. In a real sense, without trying to sound hyperbolic or dramatic, many of these foods should have that same kind of warning on them.
They should.
But they don't, and I understand why. It's never going to happen. But in fact, a westernized diet is, in fact, disease and early death inducing.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a fiction. This is not a health talk show where there's a lot of aluminum foil on people's heads, okay? We don't wear those kind of hats around here.
No, and it's the kind of thing that's subtle enough that the average person wouldn't realize what they're doing to themselves. They have no idea that obesity, that 30 pounds on the front of the abdomen, is caused by those foods. And let's face the facts. When you pack that poundage around the front of that abdomen, peritoneal fat is a high risk for premature death.
Absolutely. And cancer, heart disease, diabetes, it's a endocrine organ conceived in the most ill-formed way.
Yeah, it is. So the basics are lost in this argument while everybody's pontificating over this view and that view and whether a person's a conspiracy theorist or an anti-food or a food faddist, and we lose the very basic fabric. The human body has not evolved or been developed to handle any kind of ultra-processed food, let alone GMOs, which it can't possibly handle.
Natural selection, nature being what it is, nature does make mistakes, and it's not as benevolent as people think it is. But nevertheless, I've said that many times, almost word for word what you just said. We did not naturally select to be able to cope with these particular chemicals and in combination.
No.
That we call food. Just because it doesn't look, smell, or taste like poison doesn't mean it's not. And I use that word, I'm using it deliberately.
No, that's right. And if we were just to eat a healthy, unprocessed food, even if we didn't want to do veganism or vegetarianism, even if it was moderatism, we would reduce significantly our risk for degenerative disease and premature death. Adding in movement, exercise, it's a simple plan. Anybody could do it.
I know. Dr. Ingram's going to talk about inflammation. It turns out that inflammation is one of the primary consequences of this death-inducing, early death-inducing, whatever, disease-inducing diet. Inflammation is its main instrument.
Looking for the perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace, for healthy sleep naturally.
on a daily basis, sometimes out of awareness, a disease and early death-inducing diet. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. I'm not kidding. It's just stunning to me. As long as I've been doing this show and the decades that I've been thinking and writing and talking about this, I still am, you can see I'm still surprised. I was by myself all weekend and looking at these studies, and at one point I was sitting and I was talking to myself. I guess people thought that poor soul over there, something wrong with that guy. I had myself talking to myself.
Okay. So this weekend, I had my child with me, my daughter with me, Caitlin, and we went home Friday. All right, and we didn't eat all day, and we got home late, and so I wasn't even thinking, and I grabbed something out of the fridge, I threw it in the microwave, and I was eating it, and halfway through it, I went, "There's meat in this."
There's meat.
Okay.
Because you've been trying to move away from it.
Right, and you want to talk about mindless eating.
It's not even it's mindless, and it's also, Gary, it's ignorance. Dr. Ingram's right. People don't know. Dr. Ingram, welcome back. If we need to carry over into the second hour to give you more time, I'll give you as much time as you want. I'm not taking your time. I'm trying to build on what a couple of the comments you made, because you've been saying this for years as well, and people think, oh, they're just radical people that are just wanting to raise Cain. That's not true, is it?
No. What's happening is although we don't have the outbreaks of cholera and diphtheria and what have you, we have an extreme burden of physical degeneration that's diet related, diet and lifestyle. But we can no longer bury the head in the sand. The foods that people are eating are causing them to break down both, their dental structure, their bones, the internal organs, and then they end up, because they're not paying attention to what they eat fastidiously and persnicket this attention to that, then they end up with sudden onset adult diabetes or the development of rheumatoid or arthritic conditions.
Or cancer. Or Alzheimer's, and I just want to give you props. I want the audience to know what you just said. Dr. Ingram's right on. I'm going to quote to you from the study. Quote: an important contributor, what they're talking about, that more than a decade of life expectancy has been gained since 1980. That's good news, but they say an important contributor to this has been large falls in death rates from many communicable diseases, particularly in the last 10 years, including, just remind what Dr. Ingram said, HIV, AIDS, malaria, diarrhea. Close quote. Life expectancies increased because we've gotten rid of some of these communicable diseases. The irony, and so you were right on the money, Dr. Ingram, again, but the irony is, yes, people are living longer. And in England, they're reporting that the last 10 years of a woman's life in England is going to be spent in severe illness in the last 9 years of a man's life. Why would anybody want to live longer to be sick that long?
Yeah. It's, if we were to, nobody would, if we were to eliminate all the processed foods and eat a proper balanced diet, and I mean balanced by not the traditional dietitian type, but the tremendous amount of dark greens. Extremely important are the dark leafy greens. People don't know this. We have to have some dense sources of ascorbic acid to prevent degeneration. So if you tolerate citrus, fine. Otherwise, you can go to the alternative citrus like camu and acerola, and we can get vitamin C from red bell peppers, green bell pepper. Nobody's paying attention.
Here's what would happen, Dr. Ingram. Think about this for a second. Maybe I'm off on the wrong track here. I will bet you that if you did an experiment and you took 100 people and said to them, you go into the grocery store, you can buy anything you want, but it cannot be what you have typically purchased, a processed food.
Yeah.
I think they would be befuddled as to what to put in the basket.
They would be befuddled. They have no idea what town they're in. And nobody's teaching nutritional science, which we both are very familiar with. We hear a little bit about fish oil. And it is true, to combat inflammation and combat disease, you do need those omega-3s from fish sources. But no one has any idea what town they're in. They don't have any idea that unprocessed nuts and seeds are so essential that they'll prevent premature death from a myocardial infarction.
They think nuts and seeds are for squirrels.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, squirrels don't have
You go to the
Maybe
park. I've been in Central Park, and I have seen people feed the squirrels nuts and seeds, and they're sitting there eating a bologna sandwich with mayonnaise on it. This damn squirrel is more.
I don't know what to do.
They're feeding the squirrel better than they're feeding themselves.
I know, and the squirrel's bouncing around and can tear up a tree, and they couldn't. Those poor souls couldn't. Those poor slobs couldn't walk across the earth.
And it's not their fault. No. Nobody's. You're right. Why? I don't know.
I don't know either. But nobody's taking responsibility. We're going to do it here.
You talk. You want to talk about inflammation? You want to
get one or two people listening.
This audience. Dr. Ingram. I know this audience. I've been relating with them and talking with them, and they've been connecting to me and I to them for 12 years. This audience is dialed in. Trust me. We get the calls all the time. This is the choir that needs to sing.
Yeah.
And they will, what they hear here, hopefully they will share with others, and they do. I know they do. But inflammation is one of the consequences of this disease.
Of wrong diet. And sometimes, even if you think you're doing the right thing, it turns out wrong. Somebody says, I'm moving more to the whole grains and away from the meat, and if we find out that they're starting to get more inflammation because they've developed a gluten intolerance, a very real one, and that's a consequence also of the heavily refined, genetically altered, not necessarily GMO, but altered types of grains that are monocultured. Monofood. Has anybody written a book about monofood?
No.
Monofood is what's killing us. The lack of diversity is what's killing us. I just did a food intolerance test on a woman who had massive allergy to every known gluten-containing grain, every known type of refined sugar, from maple sugar all the way to cane and beet.
For heaven's sake.
Yeah, and she says, I can't lose weight. Well, no wonder.
No wonder.
She immune system attacks everything and blows up like a balloon.
We'll be right back.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Figures Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
The inimitable Dr. Cass Ingram is my guest today. Just share this with you. The Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation in the United States. You can go check the outfit out. They're credible. Believe me, they are. They report from this global burden of disease study that a combination, I'm quoting, of dietary factors, from eating too few fruit and vegetables, nuts and whole grains, to too much sodium and cholesterol, is taking a toll on the health of people across the globe. In this particular study, they looked at 14 dietary factors. Cumulatively, they said, unhealthy eating, including diets low in fruit, whole grains and vegetables, and diets high in red meat and sugar-sweetened beverages, contributed, quote, to more deaths than any other factor causing ischemic heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. The diet contributed to more deaths than any other factor they looked at. That's why I said at the top of the show, are you eating a disease and early death-inducing diet? Dr. Ingram, welcome back.
Yeah, didn't somebody just say that? A couple of guys chit-chatting between each other?
Yeah.
So now that the facts are on the table, let's talk about how to reverse it and how to rebuild the body for the listeners and their friends and associates. You have to ditch the colas and the sugar-sweetened drinks. You have to, all that sugar is pro-inflammatory, the white flour containing grains. Maybe get off the gluten just for fun. And so you start with that. You ditch the deep-fried food, which is extremely pro-inflammatory. You ditch the nitrated meats. You just ditch the pork. And so you've done that.
Easier said than done, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I love my bacon. Okay, well, you can love the premature grave, too. But what I would do, I would start to hit the anti-inflammatories as part of the healing process. I would get into something like cannacumin, which is extremely sophisticated. It's a combination of the industrial agricultural cannabis with wild turmeric with rosemary and ginger. I would pound at vitamin discount centers and all these other health stores, beat them into oblivion to make sure they have the cannacumin, and start taking that, because you're going to get the best of both worlds. You're going to get the cannabis extract, non-THC, with the turmeric and the ginger and rosemary. Those are all the things I've looked at over the years, those are the most anti-inflammatory. I would add to that, as part of that cleanse, I would add to that probably some oil of wild oregano, some black seed oil. Now, isn't this interesting? How many of these things are spices? Now, not that kind of spice, marijuana, but cannabis is kind of spice-like, smells like a spice. Rosemary, ginger, oregano, black seed. So those are, and you might add a bit of bromelain and papain. You see, enzymes which are going to decontaminate and digest out and clean out. So that would be a really effective protocol. And even if people already have inflammatory diseases, they have a high C-reactive protein. They have a rheumatoid factor. They have rheumatism, they have arthritis, they have lupus, they have scleroderma. That protocol is going to be very effective for those too. Very, very effective. I'll tell you another thing. With all this wrong diet, I'm seeing that a lot of these people end up having parasites.
Yeah, you said that often on the show, and people ask me about that. Say, you had some guy on there the other day, and he was talking about parasites. I said, oh, you mean Dr. Ingram, because you're the only one. You're the only one. I can tell you that. It talks about parasites on the show. Tell them why you're so fixated on that.
They're very pro-inflammatory. In fact, we've traced the infestation of the gut by a variety of parasites to digestive disorders and cramps and all that, irritable bowel and spastic colon and diverticulitis. Those are all itises and inflammation, but also primarily to arthritis, to rheumatism, to various other fibromyalgia.
How do you test for parasites?
Well, I look them over.
What do you?
I look them over, and
what do you mean? Explain what you mean clinically. What does that mean?
Well, if they have a scalloped abdomen, scooped out, Or on the other hand, if they have belly bloat, if they have varicose veins on the right side, which usually means liver parasites or congestion in the liver, if they have, if their veins are on the right side only, right, primarily, if they have a purplish red discoloration under the corners of the eyes running from the tear duct area downward, if there's a triangle of purplish red, that's 100% pathognomonic, 100% proof of parasitic infestation. I look at the tongue. If the outer edge of the tongue is bald, if the entire tongue is bald, then we're looking at parasites or tapeworm infestation.
Can they examine the fecal matter?
Well, they're not going to see much.
No. Could that be submitted to a lab?
It can, but you'd have to do 5 or 6 purge stool samples, because the regular stool, they're going to be trapped and attached to the gut, so they're not. You might see the eggs, but only 1 in 100 chance or 1 in 50
How
chance.
pervasive are parasites?
1 in 2.
No.
Yeah.
You're saying 50% of the population walk around with critters like that?
Definitely. And of course, if people have chronic digestive problems, then we have maybe more often percentage. But I mean, I see a lot of people in the lectures, and I see, fulminant parasitic infestation maybe in 1 in 4. 1 in 5.
How do they get infected?
Well, they're salad bars. They're not paying attention. They take the vegetables home. They don't wash them. They come from every kind of a country. Human feces is used in Mexico still secretly. China uses it. Using uncomposted dung, which is common in many countries, even if it's from cows.
And that stuff gets imported?
It gets imported. You don't wash the vegetables. You don't wash the romaine lettuce ribs. You don't chop the end off and wash it. You just tear it up and throw it in the salad. Pork, sleeping with your dog, licking the dog,
Thank you. I did a show on Friday. Said the title of it was "Don't Kiss Your Cat."
Well, the dog is even worse.
The dog is
neither one should be kissed and then the children not following hygiene when they picking up the feces and not being careful. All kind of.
Can you stay over? Can you stay over a little bit into the second hour? I'd like to.
Well, yeah, we have to talk about this inflammation.
Okay, I'll get you. I want to because I love it when you. Because nobody comes on and talks about this. It's a little, difficult, and people don't know how to be rhetorically sensitive and do this. You're just straightforward and authentic. You lay it out there. I love that. You're listening to Dr. Cass Ringham on Let's Talk Nutrition Coast to Coast. You're going to bring him back into the second hour. Listen to what he has to say. He has decades of experience with these kinds of issues. And again, not very many people talking about it the way he does. That's why we like him on the show. LTN Coast to Coast. Let's Talk Nutrition wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show and whatever you may be doing. Dr. Cass Ingram is my guest. He's kind enough to stay over into the second hour, and he wants to talk about inflammation and how it does contribute to disease formation and ultimately early death, and how it's connected to diet and lifestyle. Inflammation just doesn't come out of the ether. It gets triggered. Now, it is true that you may have some congenital disease, something that was genetically driven or genetically determined and driven ultimately as you live. But the lion's share of these chronic diseases are now being called diet and lifestyle diseases. That is amazing, right? And I was, over the weekend, as I reported in the first hour, reviewing the literature on how or in what ways diet in particular could be among the leading, if not the leading cause of death. When you build the causal chain, typically the way it's reported, they start with the disease, whether it be heart disease, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's. I go down the list. The causal chain begins, there's another variable before those diseases, and that would be two of them, diet and lifestyle in that causal chain. And when you build regression models, which I've done in my career, these statistical models, to try and predict the dependent variable, what variables are accounting for, let's say, early death, what variables are accounting for heart disease, and so on. What you typically find in those multiple regression models is that diet accounts for a substantial portion of the variance on the dependent variable, whether it's early death or some particular disease, or just generally morbidity and mortality. This is not science fiction. I'm telling you as a researcher. And I came across one article over the weekend published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2013 in the September issue, entitled Behavioral and Dietary Risk Factors for Non-Communicable Diseases. And this gets to what Dr. Ingram wants to talk about. And in the paper, which I have here, the full study, right here in my hand, they said, I'm quoting, and Dr. Ingram has said this on the show too, he's mentioned scurvy. Watch what they say. Centuries after the effects of specific dietary intakes on conditions such as scurvy were discovered, nutritional epidemiology has established the associations of specific foods and nutrients or overall dietary patterns with what? Cancers, cardiovascular diseases, and diabetes, with the intermediate outcomes such as weight gain, increased blood pressure, and insulin resistance and hyperglycemia. Close quote. Low dietary intakes of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, or nuts and seeds, or high dietary intake of salt and fat, and sugar are responsible, they report in this study and various other studies, for early death and the onset of disease, chronic diseases, and early death. I'm not making it up. It is science. Those are the data. I'm not just popping off an opinion. I'm reporting. And one of the overarching themes in that what I'm just reporting to you is that these diseases inspire and are driven by inflammation. When you have these diseases, and I listed them, and so did Dr. Ingram, cancer, heart disease, you name it. They don't exist without inflammation. There's no such thing as a chronic disease and no inflammation. If you have an example, please call me. We'll alert the media. We will be famous. Dr. Ingram, welcome back to the show.
Yeah. So what has to be done here is to just take a simple example of proof, which is, for example, the Maasai, which I just came back from in Kenya. And I was talking to the Maasai chief in confidence in his village hut. He said, we didn't have any of these diseases until these poisons came into our diet. We didn't have anything. We didn't have anything. And if we did, we went to our herbs and we would make a herb soup and whatever. But now we're starting to see these conditions from the poison. And I said, well, what are those poisons? He said, potatoes.
They get potatoes?
They never ate potatoes. My point is, he regarded any non-native foreign introduction food as a poison. Monoculture vegetables, he mentioned.
Explain to the listener and the viewer what you mean by a monoculture vegetable.
These poisons that we see now in the marketplace, like broccoli and potatoes. See, now, of course, those are treated with pesticide and herbicide. And potatoes do have solanine poison, as you know. So what he's basically saying is our people are reacting to these foods, and he's not knowing it, but their people are probably having allergenic type reactions, leading to inflammation, leading to mucus. And I said several of the children I couldn't believe in your village had green snot coming out of their nose. So he said, we never had that before. I said, are they having colas and sodas? He said, oh, yes, they're having them.
So it's not just potatoes.
No, of course not. He called the processed foods and snack foods because it was a tourist Maasai village. He said that was poison. He called it all poison. Then he said that he says, we don't know what's going on because they're injecting our pregnant women. And now, I said, you're going to end up with cases of polio and paralysis from that polio shot. He said, we have such a case here in the village. I said, take her to me because I predicted it. And he showed me this child that looks like she should be 2 years old, who's actually 6, who can't move a muscle in her body, and her head is very heavy, the mother got injected with the Salk-style polio shot, and the child was injected with the polio, and the child has polio. I said to the Maasai chief, did you ever see a case of polio until you started eating potatoes, processed foods, sugars, and having your children vaccinated? He said, we never had such a case in our village. Never seen it. And that's quite true, by the way. There is no polio in the Maasai at all. Now there is. You see, so that video is on Cass Ingram YouTube of me talking to the village chief and the consequences, and with the mother with the polio victim. Very sad. That's very real.
You share with the listener and the viewer who Dr. Burkett was.
Burkett, of course, is a brilliant man studying in Africa, and he found that there was a lymphoma specifically caused by virus.
And now it's called Burkett's lymphoma, right?
That's it. And he was watching the dietary patterns, but he was one of the very first to prove that the inflammation and disease caused by these infections could lead to tumors. Now we know that the monkey virus SV40 from the polio shot, which still taints some of the lot, is the cause of human lymphoma in the United States. So there you have the infection connection, where the agent goes into the body in stealth, causes the inflammation, causes the irritation, infects the DNA from a human intervention, in this case the polio sugar cube or shot, then causing a pandemic of lymphoma. So if you didn't believe that the disease we have isn't coming from the atmosphere on a meteorite, or is like the Black Plague a divine assault? No. It's man-made. Our troubles we created for ourselves.
No question.
When the Maasai, whatever the Creator gave them, which was cows, just lived on their milk, blood, and herbs. No grain. One rare amount of maize. They had no disease, no diabetes, no heart disease, no stroke. None. Now they have it all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, our gift to you. Dr. Burkett and another colleague, Dr. Trial,
Yeah.
or Troll, Trowell. What's interesting, when in Africa, when they don't eat grains the way we do. When I come back, I'll explain, and then Dr. Ingram will share with you. He alluded to one recommendation, the Curin. We'll talk about it. We'll get more to it.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilomax, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Well, you would think that this is something new under the sun. Dennis Parsons Burkett, Dr. Burkett, was a surgeon, and he was born in Ireland. By the way, he only had one eye. He lost his right eye in an accident when he was about 11, if my memory serves me. But he served in the during World War II, he was in the Royal Army Medical Corps in England. As fate would have it, he ended up in Kenya and Somaliland in Africa and decided that to stay there and to help the developing world. And he lived in Uganda. Dr. Burkett made the observation when he compared the people in Africa to those in England and Western societies. He observed that, my God, these people in Africa don't have these diseases. Why would that be? He was just simply curious. He concluded that it was one thing primarily, diet. So this is not new under the sun, even though it's reported as if we just discovered fire. Dr. Ingram, welcome back.
Yeah. So now we're in a bit of a conundrum where people have chronic illness and they don't know what to do. So we do need to try to investigate deeper each case, what their genetics are, what their family history, where they come from, what their potential allergenic foods might be, which is rather complex. I covered that in pretty good detail in the original book, How to Eat Right and Live Longer. However, let's just make a simple formula for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
We eliminate refined sugar. We eliminate all commercial grains. We do not eat white rice. We ditch the hydrogenated oil, of course. We eliminate refined vegetable oil, Wesson oil, corn oil. We take the highly pro-inflammatory GMOs out of the diet. And then we increase our consumption of the anti-scorbutic foods, the citrus if we can handle it, non-citrus if we can't, kiwi, mango, papaya, tremendous amount of dark. Robert McCarrison wrote his classic book on nutritional deficiency about 1918. Robert McCarrison. You know of him, yeah.
Yes.
So he stated there were only 4 highly protective foods that prevented against degeneration. They were dark leafy greens, the germs of grain. Now, if you're sensitive to that, you'd have to go with more the rice germ and all, the oat germ or what have you. The germ of grains, citrus-type foods, and a high density ascorbic acid foods, and organ meats, not flesh, but the organ meats. Now, he didn't study fish at the time. And that anything else we eat is pro-inflammatory. That's basically what his conclusion was. Now, he did mention, however, and it depends on your body, the vitamin A and D rich heavy fat, butter, cream, whole organic milk. But some people don't do well with those, so you have to keep the sensitivity factor in mind. Some people get worse, even though cream and butter is rich in vitamins, they get worse because they react to the cow source,
Isn't it true that humans are the only species of animal that drink the milk of another animal?
I would say so, except if you leave it out to the coyotes.
Right. I mean, under certain circumstances, I understand that there are exceptions, but
yeah.
What do you make of that? And was that a mistake?
Well, it's not a mistake if you have the genes for it. So if you're from Northern European stock, if you're Swiss, if you're Maasai, well, no, it's actually what the cow eats too, and the breed of the cow that makes a difference. So in the case of the Maasai, the cow is only eating herbs, never touched a grain. And on top of it, he's eating medicinal herbs just like an elephant. And we now know that camel milk is a medicine, but camels eat shrubs. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, Dr.
It's more complicated than that. But cow milk, with the species issues, eating grain is pro-inflammatory. That's for sure.
No doubt. And Dr. Ingram, you can always tell those who are truly educated and are not just technicians. He referred to Dr. McCarrison. Turns out that Dr. McCarrison was credited with being the first to experimentally demonstrate the effect of deficient dietaries, as they called them, and animal tissues and organs.
Feeling tired after your meal?
Looking for the perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace, for healthy sleep naturally.
Did you know that 7 in 10 people have digestive issues? It's no wonder, really. When you take a closer look at what's inside, you'll see that our intestinal environment is similar to a lush garden, a flourishing biodiversity comprised of healthy gut flora. Flora that we depend upon for our health and well-being. Stress, over-sanitization, over-processed foods, and the overuse of antibiotics have clear-cut our guts, leaving our tummies feeling, well, not great. You see, what we have done by killing off the gut flora is damage the soil of our inner gardens. With damaged soil, nothing can really grow or flourish, and disease starts to set in. But we will let you in on a little secret. Fermentation makes all the difference. You know that bloated feeling you can get when taking a vegan protein? Oh, come on. We know you know. Almost all of us get it. That feeling comes from a natural protective casing that surrounds grains and legumes. Because this casing acts as a natural defense mechanism to prevent the grain or legume from being digested, the result is gas and bloating as it passes through our digestive tract. This is where the magic of fermentation comes in. Only fermentation breaks down this casing, freeing the nutrients for absorption by your body. Not only that, but it amplifies the existing nutrients. This means you are getting all the available nutrients from your protein. But there's more. Remember our garden that we clear cut? Well, fermentation, when done right, actually restores that biodiversity of flora. Fermentation naturally replenishes the soil in our garden. Can your protein powder do all that? Well, ours can. Fermented Vegan Proteins Plus by Genuine Health. 7 plant-based sources for a complete amino acid profile. No bloating, maximizes protein and nutrient absorption, and strengthens your gut health. Gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free, non-GMO, and 100% vegan. Try some today. Your gut will thank you. Genuine Health is possible.
Dr. McCarrison, 1921, wrote a book entitled Studies in Deficiency Diseases. Let me quote to you from the book. Quote, "The objective of my studies has been twofold. First, to find out how the body goes sick in consequence of deficient and ill-balanced food." Gotta love this. And second, to deduce therefrom what forms of sickness in the human subject may reasonably be attributed to or connected in their origin with such foods, close quote. This is 1921 that Dr. Ingram referenced Dr. McCarrison. This idea that people can eat a disease-inducing early death diet is not new news, man. Thank you for the reference, Dr. Ingram. I appreciate that. That I have a copy of the book. I just went online. You can get a copy of the book.
Did you get a copy? That's fantastic, fantastic. Thanks.
It's free. I have the whole book in front of me, a PDF file of it.
Oh, the PDF. Okay. Yeah. So what we have to do, what I found because if I lecture, there might be 400 or 500 people there, and I have to deal with all of them afterwards, and I certainly don't mind doing it, although I do complain to them. I tell you everything in the lecture you need to do, and then afterwards you jump me. But no, you have to do what McCarrison says. You must change the diet to include those anti-deficiency disease components that prevent autodegeneration. However, now we have the sophistication of taking them in the food supplement form. So I put everybody on the Purely. Purely C, Purely B, Purely Pack, Polar, and for the fatty salmon oil A and D X Factor, I give them the Polar Power.
This is from
routinely.
This is from North American Urban Spice. These products.
Yeah. Routinely, I give them those so that they get the McCarrison components into their dietary that will stop the degenerative processes. Why do you think they call them vitamins? It means vital for life to take on a daily basis. But you're not going to get it by taking vitamin pills made by Hoffman LaRoche or some big Chinese conglomerate, what have you. You have to get it from food or food supplements. So you ditch the processed foods. You replace the nutrients. You increase your consumption of leafy greens like a fiend, and you'll start to get better.
Here's a quote from McCarrison's book. Be mindful, listener and viewer. This was written in 1921. Quote, "Sugar is consumed in quantities unheard of a century ago, and sugar is devoid of vitamins which the cane juice originally contained," close quote. McCarrison was complaining that they were eating too much sugar in 1921. If he were alive today, he would be in shock.
He's a complete prophet. And we have to do the profiting now. And so you heard it today, and you won't hear it from any other program. That you must take good care of your own self through your own actions. You cannot rely on government stamps or food processor stamps or because you can find it in the grocery store. You have to scrutinize everything. And if you're sick, you have to replace the deficient nutrients. Like McCarrison said, the sugar steals everything. The white flour is devoid of everything. You've become deficit. Now, if you want to take it up to another level, you clean out the candida and the pro-inflammatory fungus. You do your oil of oregano, your juice, your Oregamax. So if you just did that with replacing the nutrients, and if you're under a lot of inflammation, you add in the turmeric. Now, here's another form. Turmeric milk. Chaga milk.
What's that?
The traditional way of doing it as a hot beverage.
Oh.
You think they didn't know what they were doing in Siberia when they always took the chaga as a hot beverage? Or the fact that the Indian population made turmeric milk, golden milk. So now, thankfully, you have turma milk and chaga milk, which is inexpensive, and I'm using it to regenerate people.
It's in NorthAmericanUrbanSpice.com. These, Dr. Ingram, he doesn't pimp the product. He mentions them. I'm trying to help him.
Mentioning the fact that we have these things available. Nobody has to buy anything or anything like that. But I'm taking the Terma milk on a 3-4 times a week. I'm taking the chaga milk 3-4 times a week, and I'm taking some ashwagandha milk or ashwa milk, which is new. I'm using that for my adrenals because I'm a victim of processed foods. I used to eat a box of pinwheels and then a whole thing of Oreos with a half a gallon of milk, as a snack when I was a kid. So, and I'm completely intolerant to cow's milk, and I can if I eat refined sugar, it messes me up, So, but you don't know it's messing you up because you're taking it every day. You have to eliminate it.
It's interesting. Yeah. Hey, here's a number to call if you'd like to talk with Dr. Ingram.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. And don't forget the trivia question of the day, the LTN question of the day.
Be coming up in the last segment. As you're talking, I'm looking at McCarrison's book, and he wrote it. It's interesting, the innocence and not naivete, but the innocence of the way he writes the book and what he knew at the time. It's remarkable, though. I mean, the simplicity of it. And you would think that what I was reading over the weekend, these most current studies, I mean, last year, the year before, as far back, no later than 2013, you would think, oh, my God, this is something new. No. Dr. Burkett, Dr. McCarrison, these men, and I'm looking for women, too, at that time period. I want to see what contributions they make because I'm interested in gender and their contribution. But these men were remarkable in their simple observation of life, everyday life, man.
Well, they were tasked, by the British government to determine the cause of scurvy and of beriberi and pellagra and to try to deal with this in a reasonable, But and so in that process, he made some. That's a real Nobel Prize winner there.
Yeah, Burkett, McCarrison.
Oh my.
And others, right? I mean.
Right, and they and others, yeah. And now we have to take the lead to cause our people, just as he was concerned about the people he was tasked to administer to. We're tasked to administer to the American public, Canadian public, and our listening audience. And we must stress that the consumption of refined food is catastrophic. It's more catastrophic now than even previously because of the introduction of GMOs. That it's, you want some ice cream? What kind of soda do you want, honey? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Go away.
Studies in deficiency disease. Dr. McCarrison. I'll spell his name for you when we come back, and I'll have the LTN health question of the day.
Want to get at the core issues that make weight loss?
Are your joints feeling out of date and stiff? Is that old sports injury flaring up? Is your body aching from the daily wear and tear at work? Body Vigor's Joint Ready keeps you at the ready for any joint pain that gets out of line. Unfortunately, as we age, joint pain becomes more common. Body Vigor's Joint Ready can help provide relief so you can continue to go about your day. Our formula contains sulfated forms of glucosamine and chondroitin. Studies show that these sulfated forms are more effective than regular glucosamine bound to hydrochloride. Joint Ready promotes a healthy inflammatory response, facilitates cartilage synthesis, and provides additional antioxidants. Keep your joints at the ready with Body Vigor's Joint Ready, exclusively on Amazon.com.
the LTN Health Question of the Day. Devoted the theme for today's show is really was a question. Are you eating a disease-inducing, early death-inducing diet? And exploring current research, and then the research done early in the 20th century by people such as Dr. Burkett, Dr. McCarrison. I wonder how many dietitians and nutritionists in their course of study, their professors were teaching them about Burkett and McCarrison and others. I wonder. If I were teaching a course, it would certainly be introduced to these people. Here's the question. According to a study in the Global Burden of Disease Project, which they do every year, they do a study on the health of the world and factors contributing to disease and death and health, for that matter. What percent of non-infectious diseases, meaning diet and lifestyle diseases, accounted for the deaths? What percent of deaths were caused by these non-infectious diseases, which are caused by diet and lifestyle? 7%, 17% of deaths, or 70% of deaths caused by or fueled by diet and lifestyle factors? What do you think? Here's a number to call to win the $25 supplement gift card with the right answer.
877-897-8255. 877-897-8255.
In other words, what percentage of deaths is fueled or caused, you can even say caused by, according to this study, these studies, when you take them together, by diet and lifestyle factors? 7%, 17%, or 70%? Dr. Ingram, welcome back.
Thank you.
I appreciate you always referencing some of the early figures in the study of nutrition. It brings a smile to my face because I know that you're well read, and many of these famous and great, I mean, they should they should have won Nobel Peace Prizes for their work, and many of them didn't when you reference them. So I'm very appreciative that you do that.
There's no problem at all.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, we have to realize that there's nothing new about the source of these illnesses, other than, I guess, the only really novel thing is the use of genetically engineered food, which contains antigens and bacterial, viral promoters and genes from foreign species inside the corn, soy, cottonseed, and so that is an increased assault on the population. In that regard, I must say that I have been using the same protocol for victims of GMOs, but I'm really big on using the oil of wild oregano to clean out that aberrant genetic material. You know that when we eat genetically engineered food, we are eating an potentially infectious DNA. I think you do know that. And that DNA can get inside of our cell nucleus of our cells.
Then why, you are among the critics of GMOs, how is it that medical institutions, governments, medical experts of one sort or stripe or another say it's okay, nothing wrong here, nothing to see, keep eating?
Well, of course, you do know that Monsanto placed its own attorneys in the FDA's revolving circle, including the arch criminal mind Michael Taylor. So,
you're going to get in trouble talking like that.
Yeah, that's all right. He was stuffed in there for decades. He's now the FDA's food czar, the federal food czar. He works strictly on Monsanto policy. So when you put in individuals like that, and there are a number of them, then you get the policy established. And the same is true with the medical profession. The AMA is very pro-GMO, but so is the George Bush government, Clinton government. So that doesn't mean anything because those are not scientific bodies. You have to look at the science. the independent science.
Yeah.
Independent science.
It is a big debate. There is a big back and forth on this GMO business, and it's going to become even more prominent as time goes on.
Well, you're basically putting into the food supply bacterial and viral cell promoters like Agrobacterium, cauliflower, mosaic virus, and they promote cell growth. That means inflammation and ultimately means tumor formation. So, like if I told you that the corn that you're eating has live bacterial and viral DNA in it that's injected in the center of the corn cell nucleus, if I told you it was somewhat septic, like if you knew that that there was some salmonella in the food, you wouldn't feed it to your baby.
Heavens no.
And that's what you're doing. You're feeding not necessarily the whole organism, but if you feed the DNA, DNA is not dead. That DNA goes into your cell nucleus and it infects it.
Sure.
That's proven, by the way.
Let's go to Largo, Florida. Steve, what percent, according to the Global Burden of Disease study, the one they did in 2015, what percent of deaths globally were attributable to diet and lifestyle? Was it 7%, 17%, or 70%?
I'm going with 70.
Yeah, you went the right way. Congratulations, you won a $25 supplement gift card.
Hey, Doc, I tried some of that black seed that your guest there recommended last time as a bronchial dilator, and it works great.
Yeah, it's really good for a bronchial dilator, asthma and congestion. So keep going with that, and
Wow.
Look into the oil of wild oregano for that, too. Why not?
Well, thank you Steve, thank you for sharing that. I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm glad that you're still out there, and that's interesting. He took Dr. Ingram's advice, and he had a nice effect. We appreciate it.
There you go.
Yeah, congratulations. You're a winner, man. Dr. Ingram, thank you so much for your Renaissance approach to things. You're well-read, and I have such appreciation for that. And Dr. McCarrison, he introduced today.
Yeah, okay. Bye now.
We'll catch you next time. The North American Urban Spice, visit their website. All those products that Dr. Ingram mentioned, I didn't spend too much time talking about it. He mentions them. I give you the source, and you decide what to do. We love doing this show. Learning is so much fun. Maybe you didn't know about Dr. McCarrison. Now you do. Yeah. Your health is your wealth. Love you.